Well, hello traders. I'm putting up a quick video for you about how to trade the NFP. And NFP stands for non-farm payrolls, which is the jobs report on the first Friday of every single month. And just so happens that's today. But this is a look back video at last month in November. On Friday the 4th of November, we got the NFP report. Comes out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, that's New York time. And I'm going to tell you how to trade it. And it's pretty simple, really. Now, when the NFP news comes out, you'll normally see this sort of candle pattern. Look out for this. This is exactly what you see almost every time the NFP data comes out. And this is a 5-minute chart. So I've zoomed into a very short time frame. And what you'll see quite often is a move in one direction, like we saw here. The moment the news came out, you'll see it's 3:30 p.m. my time, which is 8:30 a.m. Eastern time or New York time. The moment that news comes out, the market will begin to travel in one direction. Now, what often happens with the NFP is that the market moves in one direction, and then once it's run its course, it reverses. And you can see that took place in 5 minutes. So we moved from this level here at 97.80 down to 97.40-ish. Now, that's quite a small move. Sometimes you see very large moves on the NFP, and you could even look at an hour chart to get a better perspective on things, but I'm trying to just illustrate the shape of these patterns. I generally trade this off an hour chart, and I'll look for the same sort of thing on an hour chart. So this would be 1 hour, and that would be the following hour. Now, what happens normally, quite often, is that the market will move in one direction and move back in the opposite direction again, and then begin to back to where it started, more or less, and then begin to move in the opposite direction. That's the time at which you want to start trading. Wait for the initial reaction, assume that there's going to be a fake out one way or the other, and wait to see what happens. As I said, this could be an hour chart. To be safer, use an hour chart, not a 5-minute chart, but I wanted to show you what the candle shape looked like using this chart. For those who are day trading and scalping, you might well want to use a 5-minute chart. That's not my trading style particularly. So once we get a move back to the starting point, at the close of this 5-minute candle, the market begins to travel in the other direction. In this case, it went down first, and then it went up. Now, this is the crucial point. When it starts going up, in this case, the market will either do one of two things. It'll continue in the opposite direction to the initial move. So it'll begin to move up. And in this case, the market began to move up for most of the rest of the day. The other thing that can happen is that the market will just return on the second candle. And once again, remember, this could be an hour candle or a 5-minute candle, depending on your trading style. On the second candle, we can often just close back at the original price that happened to be the price before the news. Now, that's the first scenario. Move in one direction, move in the other direction, and then a close more or less at where the market was when the news broke. In that case, go for the original direction of the trend. In this case, the original movement of the trend was down, and if this had gone up, spiked up, and come back down to more or less where we started, then we would assume that the trend was going to continue on downwards, and we'd be heading south in this case. The other thing is, the next scenario is that we could get a spike down in this case and a spike up, and then the market will decide what to do. It could go in either direction, and it's very difficult to tell. But most times, if we close back at the same price that we started before the news, the price will continue in the direction of the trend. In this case, we did move back down a little bit over there, but overall the market stayed above the opening price at the start of the news and continued in the opposite direction to the spike. So you're going to see either a spike down or up, and then a return to the original position, and then a spike in the opposite direction and a return to the original position. And after 2 candles, whether it's 5 minutes or hourly candles, if we end up at exactly the same price as where we started, you can assume that the trend will continue in the original direction, let's say over the last 5 or 10 candles preceding the news event. On the other hand, like we have here, we have a reversal, the initial fake out, and then the move up, holding up at those levels, and then continuing in the opposite direction. The third scenario, which I did mention shortly a few seconds ago, was that we could get the fake down, the fake up, and move back down to close at that area, and then a continuation, or the opposite direction, a continuation in the original direction of the fake. That is not normally the case. Normally, we will get this one spike in one way, one spike in the other way, and then the market will decide whether we're going to continue in the opposite direction to the first spike or in the direction of the first spike, and the market would just carry on moving down, or just in the original direction of the trend. So this is pretty easy to trade, actually, and it's difficult to show it on a chart like I'm doing right now because it's in retrospect and you can't see the ups and downs, and sometimes quite violent movement during these news releases, particularly the NFP. However, when we do our live trading room with members, these are the sorts of things that we discuss, and we actually watch live trades or go over trades in bar replay in Q&A times and discussions. So if you enjoyed that and you're even more confused than you were before, hit the like button, press subscribe, join me for a trial. The links are below in the section below the video for a free trial, and you can come and join us for live trading and have a look around at some of the other videos on my site and on YouTube. So I'll speak to you soon.